Let's go. Freedom Renegade Radio Podcast. Welcome to episode 4, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate the shit out of everybody. Go ahead.
This is Nate, Holistic Meditation, who doesn't start the podcast when he says he starts the podcast about 4 times, right? Is that correct? Is that about
Hopefully
right?
Fletch leaves this in there for all the fucking applauses you put in.
What are you talking about? Oh, you can clip it in.
I wanted to tell you about this. Did you see the recent studies they did on Alzheimer's and mice and lion's mane?
No.
This is kind of crazy.
But I did want to tell you, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I did want to tell you I was going to buy some, I think it's called Life Cycle. I was going to buy some of the mushrooms they got, the tincture shit they got going on.
Yeah.
I was kind of excited about it.
Yeah.
I get excited about supplements.
All that kind of stuff's amazing. Paul Stamets, who was on Joe Rogan's podcast, he talked about they did a recent test here. Well, they just finished it recently, but it was a test on mice where they injected them in their brain with aluminum, which is basically what they found is one of the leading causes of Alzheimer's. So that before they injected them, they had a little maze, and they would teach these mice how to find this cheese. Eventually, after like a couple weeks, they could find it almost every time. So then they injected these mice with that aluminum in their brain, and within a couple days, they couldn't find it anymore. They were just out of it. So they detected in these mice that they had given them Alzheimer's, and then they started giving them lion's mane after they had clearly for multiple weeks seen they can't get there anymore. And apparently it builds up a type of plaque on like your neurotransmitters, and so it's kind of blocking your memory and your ability to recall. They start giving them the lion's mane, and within 2 weeks, they could find their way right back to it, just like they could in the beginning. Within 2 weeks, the fucking lion's mane had cleared all the aluminum out of their fucking neurotransmitters, and these mice could find their way literally perfectly, just like before, straight to the cheese, just by using lion's mane. And I think if you listen to the Stamets podcast, he's been on there twice. Lion's mane is just the beginning. There's like amazing benefits with like turkey tail. I won't even get into all of them.
What does turkey tail do? Because the ones I was going to get, they have shiitake, I believe, turkey tail.
Yeah, there's
lion's mane.
Yeah.
Cordyceps.
Yeah.
And one more.
Yeah, I saw that with cordyceps, they found that like asthmatic patients, it increased their breathing like crazy, like almost to a point to where they have thought about banning it from sprinters being able to use it because it works so well to clear your lungs.
They were giving it to the sprinters in Japan, I'm pretty sure. Because they thought these sprinters from Japan won I think they broke the world record.
Yeah.
Or they might have been from China or Japan, one or the other. And they broke this world record, and they were, what's the word? They were accused of taking steroids, but they were really taking cordyceps mushrooms.
Yeah, the amount of positive benefits that Paul Stamets has really made available to the world is amazing. He wears that little mushroom hat. You know who I'm talking about?
I know who you're talking about. I've seen when he first went on Rogan. I watched those podcasts back in the day before because I don't really watch it.
Let me tell you what he did with mushrooms. So the entire time he was a kid, he was in remedial classes having a hard time. He had a stutter, and this stutter was bad.
Today, Junior,
literally nothing they could do would help him. So one day he just got toasted on fucking a high dose, like a hero's dose of psychedelic mushrooms.
Did you say a hero's dose?
A hero's dose, yeah. Which
what
Terrence McKenna and his brother termed the phrase, it's 5 grams or more.
A hero's dose?
That's what they call it, a
That's
hero's
hilarious.
dose. So anyways, so he takes the hero's dose. He's like lost, wandering around, and this thunderstorm comes in. He hides under a tree. Everybody left like where he was.
Why does that always happen when you take
I don't know, dude.
You know what I'm talking about,
yeah,
dude.
It's wildness. But so he's stuck under this tree, and he's like starts just trying to talk, and the way he's talking, he's just stuttering. And he just started focusing on what the fuck was causing him to do this. And by the time he got out of the peak of this, his stutter was gone. He had like consciously either rewired his brain or saw through whatever the thing was that was making him stutter, and it never came back.
Isn't that the most?
It's crazy,
amazing.
It's crazy
thing you fucking heard, dude.
Dude, it's wild, and you can tell Paul's
nuts.
You can tell Paul's not a liar. Like he's not a guy that's out here just trying to get people to like listen to this. He's like a very in-depth scientist that values the truth heavily.
Well, that's what sometimes what I think drugs give you the gateway into is to seeing into your psyche enough to work through shit like that. And then, you know, like for my own example of it, I actually had, this isn't anywhere near the same, but I noticed that, so I've been taping my mouth at night. I tape my mouth shut.
Oh,
You're so stupid. We're going to cook that one. But I'll tape my mouth shut at night. At
least your house gets some peace.
Yeah, right. How many more you got?
Zing!
Zing them out, motherfucker. It's supposed to be good for, I think it changes your jaw structure. It's good for a bunch of other stuff with your body. I think it changes the way your tongue sits in your mouth when you have your mouth closed rather than sleep with they call them mouth breathers rather than be a mouth breather. But you'll hold your tongue in a different place in your mouth, so it'll change the structure of your jaw. It has, like I said, it has some other benefits too. And then I'll take one of those nasal strips to open up your nose,
get that extra oxygen.
Yep. Yeah. It's actually, and you get deeper sleeper doing it too.
I've heard breathing through your nose is a underappreciated art. Really, Laird Hamilton, when he was on Rogan's podcast, was just talking about the benefits of how much better he feels learning to rebreathe through his nose, and just like the more that it helps. I mean, your nose literally, your mouth has less of a filter in it. Your nose is like comprised of a filter that's built in.
It makes it so your breath doesn't stink as bad, or stink.
God, if they had one for your
stink
feet.
is bad or stink.
Yeah.
Shut up, dude. How many shots are you gonna fire today? Fuck me. I'm gonna start fucking letting them go too.
Go ahead,
please.
Man. Go ahead.
No, I'm just fine with you.
You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah. So it has a lot of health benefits to it, but I just noticed the other day, and I don't know how y'all feel about this, but I'm like, so when we went to Hash Bash, I hadn't been because I was incarcerated, I hadn't been participating in anything, but when we were in Hash Bash, I did. Mm-hmm. And when I fell asleep, I didn't have my nose strips and stuff. And when I fell asleep, when you're lit up like that, you can feel things in a different way. And I noticed when I was falling asleep that my jaw was open and it was like cocked to the side. Mm-hmm. And I could feel it, and I was like, oh shit, this is what the fucking that mouth tape does, dude. Yeah. It makes I could feel where my tongue was sitting, and I've looked up all these details and like seen all the data on it, but then I felt it happen. I was like, oh shit, dude, like that's crazy. This actually is being beneficial to me. You know what I mean? But being in that state of mind helped me see it and feel it.
Yeah, and doubling back to like when we were talking, you were saying psychedelics to you. Well, let me just say this. I think that like psychedelics are like a cheat code to like what real meditation is, right? You don't need those things to actually have the benefits of what meditation is. But I think psychedelics put you into that state to observe from a place that you're not used to. So it allows you, really, like meditation's supposed to be like the ability to witness without judgment. So you're sitting back and you're just observing like every thought that goes by. You're not jumping into it and participating it by getting involved and identifying it. Meditation can just be summed up as relaxing or witnessing, right? So when you're witnessing, anything that you really see into, it drops on its own. It's a very destructive process in a beautiful way. Anything that you clearly see, the things that aren't good for you just naturally fall away. So in the same regard with Paul, when he sees the stuttering, he saw through it in a way, I would imagine, that allowed the parts of the things that weren't true and beneficial to him to fall away. And so I feel like psychedelics put you in a place, just instantly put you in that place. And so while you're there, you can make changes that you may not have been able to see, because when we're young, like a lot of people that ask like, oh, what's it like, these certain psychedelics? And it's almost like re-giving yourself the wonder that a child has, because the child, everything is like, what is this? And it's not making assumptions. It's just, what is this? And from that place, that wonder allows you to actually investigate. And so people lose that ability because everything that's happened, they've normalized and put themselves into autopilot. And that autopilot just lets everything run and you're kind of just checked out. And through meditation, you can let the witness become a little bit better, a little bit more distance from the things, and you can see your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions, but in the same way. That's all the psychedelics do, renewing the wonder. So you're like, what is this?
And you can slow down to let them happen,
right?
And analyze them, actually unfold them,
right?
Take time to dissect each one of them and move on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And give yourself the fucking capacity and composure. No, it's okay.
Yeah, and so really
it's okay, dude.
Really the whole point I'm making is you don't need the psychedelics to do any of that stuff.
Well, you had tell the story of the enlightened being, or the monk that meditated. He took like a bunch of acid or something and meditated.
Yeah, so Terrence McKenna actually had wanted to talk to one of these Sri Ramana or whatever's, one of these enlightened people that he had met, and he wanted to know. It was either Terrence or Richard Alpert, which is Ram Dass. It was one of the two. I can't remember. Doesn't matter which one, but so they took it to the yogi, and they wanted to know, is there something beneficial from this happening? And they had brought the highest quality shit you can bring. And they had brought 10 for everybody to do with him at the same time. And he put his hand out. Richard offered it to him. And the guy just took it all. Ram Dass, when he talks about it.
And this guy obviously didn't.
It was Ram Dass.
He
took 10 doses of very, very potent LSD. Popped that shit. And they said he kind of did this for a minute. Whoa, as it started kicking in, and he just sat there the entire time, didn't move at all. They said it was 18 hours before he was fully back, and they said, what do you think? Is there something, can you tell us the benefits? Are you getting into a spiritual place that's similar to meditation? He's like, you don't need any of that. All you need is silence. You don't need any of that stuff. But yes, it went to the exact same place as meditation does.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That motherfucker ate all 10.
All of them. Yes. Let's see.
Oh, bro. That dude was treading.
He must have been
uncharted waters,
up.
Dude. And he sat there like a G the whole time.
They said at first, though, he was getting his balance, because they were just sitting with him. And
it was probably like that Iboga story. The walls probably went, whoa, shit, what the fuck?
I'm so nervous, or I'm excited about.
Don't even talk about it. You're gonna make me.
I'm
so excited
scared. I'm so excited to be able to be in a place like Mexico where it's going to be legal, and we're going to be taken care of. I'm excited to see what this trip is. I know it's made me go through my life and try to wonder about what has been traumatizing, and really lately taking account of I wonder how many things I can recognize before I even get there, and see what comes up, because I can think of at least 10.
I am excited for the journey of the spirit. In life, I look at life
the
as
adventure.
Yes, dude. Life is such an adventure to me, such a journey of the soul, and I believe humans reincarnate. That's just my personal opinion. I think that I've had prior lives, and becoming the man that I am today, and becoming the greatest being that I could ever be. This is that journey, and and the things like this are milestones that you hit, because I don't do these types of things in a half-assed manner, in terms of I take them.
It's a ceremony for you.
Yes, it's a ceremony. It's a very spiritual journey, and things like this really break down barriers and doors within self, So I'm very excited to where it's going to take me in terms of what I see.
I bet we come back fresh, man. A lot of people say when you see the patients before and after, that you literally see a kid again when they come out. They're just they go in there haggard and come out fresh as fuck, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to understanding more about certain anxieties and certain control mechanisms. Being the oldest child is always makes you handle life in a different way than the younger child. You know, like I'm excited to feel that freshness.
I feel like it has proper timing right now for my life because of what I've gone through here in the last couple of years, leading up to going to prison, just getting out of prison, and then having these opportunities laid to me by the universe.
It is by the universe.
When these opportunities fall into your lap, just like Hash Bash, like getting out of prison and then going to Hash Bash, fucking 5, 6, 7 days later, for going to prison for something like that and then going to playing a show like that is, in my opinion, the universe speaking to me. And more ironic than you could even hope something was. It's more ironic than I could even try to articulate.
Yeah.
But then doing a show like this immediately after, if I'm awarded a passport, I feel like this is the universe guiding me, you know, and I have to take action upon that, because I feel like I heard a story from Bashar that was saying you have to follow your highest excitement. He always talks about following your highest excitement without expectation. But if you don't take action upon it, because Earth is a place of action, and if you don't take that action, then that feeling that comes through to guide you to that action of your highest excitement will stop speaking through you, because you're not listening to it. You're not taking that action upon it. So like this, I could feel it. I was like, I need to do it. But I mean, when they first brought it up, I was like, I don't know. And now, you know, obviously I'm with it.
Yeah,
but I could hear it, you know, like I can hear that voice calling, like, this is an opportunity. What are you going to do with it? I'm like, I'm going to take it.
I think I like with people like Bashar and people that are far out there like that, I sometimes like to listen to it just to look for new concepts that I may not be aware of and kind of contemplate what I feel about it. And one of the things that was something I heard him say the other day was that when you're like trying to visualize and manifest your life and all this new age shit, right? He was saying you don't have access to the higher mind as far as like with your human body. So he was saying there's a higher mind and there's a lower mind. The higher mind is almost projecting your experience you're about to have into your lower mind, and then it's perceived. But he was saying when you make a plan of what you want to do, he said it's basically just a rough sketch, because the lower mind does not have the ability to see what is coming in life. Only the higher mind does. And so when you want something to take you to somewhere that's exciting and somewhere that you're visualizing, it's not about like imagining what that is. It's about getting into the state of being of what it feels like to be there, feeling the feeling, and then basically releasing it to the higher mind. The higher mind will design it out for you. So you just have a rough sketch of where you're going, and you keep following what's exciting to you. And that's why the no insistent on what it's supposed to look like, no expectations is there, because the higher mind knows now that this is what's important to you. It lets it down to you in its own way that could be better than the way you imagine it, but don't insist on the way you think it needs to look, because that lower mind can never see where you're going. It doesn't have the ability. It only has the ability to be here right now. And so so allowing that to create it and you to follow it by the breadcrumb trails it leaves of excitement is like a very important part, or a very important and just in a very important piece of like understanding how like manifestation.
And Bashar says this?
Yeah.
Okay. For the people, just for the audience, tell them who Bashar is.
There's just a bunch of random channelers out there. There's like Abraham Hicks, there's Bashar. People a long time ago used to listen to Seth and like these channelings.
Who's the curly haired lady?
The Law of One is like all channeled through a few different people of like that's the channelings of Ra, the channelings of like Quo. There's a bunch of channelers out there. I would say most of them are full of shit, but I am always looking for something that's useful in my life that may be a new concept, just to explore it, you know?
Who's the curly haired lady?
You're probably talking about Esther Hicks, which is Abraham.
Oh, okay.
Abraham is supposed to be the soul collective that they're channeling. There's also Cryon, who channels like the soup of God.
Okay.
All interesting people enough. But.
So I just heard a story about the Law of One here this week. What do you know about the Law of One?
Oh, well, that's what
because they kind of overshadow each other. And I thought it was an interesting story for sure. Yeah. And I've heard David Wilcock talk about it as well in the past. So I didn't know the same thing. The things that I had heard this time when I watched this video, I had never heard this backstory from David Wilcock about it. I just always heard him talk about it. So
yeah. So
what do you think about Law of One? Do you think it's bullshit?
I don't know one way or another. What I do is so the Law of One is a book channeled by this Christian lady, which wasn't even that interested in it. But after the channeling shit started happening to her, she decided to like mark all this down.
So she started having some type of entity channeled through her.
Right. And so there was like a couple people that were doing it, but this specific
and
book,
they didn't know each other, right?
Who?
The people that were having it happen. I'm pretty sure they were from different places.
I'm not sure if they knew each other or not, but the book is basically, most of it is written by this chick with her channelings with Ra, Quo, and a few other like beings. And so the principle of the Law of One is we're all one thing, and you can open up a channel within you to different parts of yourself that are higher vibrational beings. A lot of them consider them ascended masters, like Ra. A lot of people consider as a ascended master, and you can open up your channel to allow. Really, what you do is like they call it like telepathy. So it's not even that they come through or you come through. You match a frequency, which makes you both the same thing, and that allows it to be spoken into this world.
Okay, and what are they saying?
So a lot of it is like. There's an entire book. Like what are they saying? She asks a question, and from that question, this entity is basically channeling through her. Like they ask about how the pyramids were formed, or what is a positive and negative entity, and what it's basically just like some very deep spiritual stuff. And so you asked me if I believe it or not. I like to just read the material and see if, to me, it makes sense. So even if it was fake, and I can use it in my life, great. It doesn't have to be real. It honestly doesn't. If I can pull something out of it that affects the way I live my life in a positive manner, that's what I'm looking for. So I don't know. I've never channeled, but I think right now, even coming up with an idea in my mind, I'm perceiving something that's like a bigger thought than me, that it's like funneling into my human consciousness. Whether I'm channeling an entity or I'm channeling right now, speaking a quantum idea, that's the same thing to me. Ideas, you could personify them if you want, but like you know what I'm saying? Like you're literally channeling every moment. Like where does your music come from?
It's like freestyling.
Have you ever really thought about like when I'm sitting down writing, where the fuck are these ideas coming from? What is even happening in the process of like, you just start writing and you're looking for that's a good one. It's almost like you just grabbed it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like I set my intention when I write my music with every song to bring some kind of better harmony and more love to the world and whatever the fuck I'm making. I set that intention every single time so that I hope something beautiful comes through. And that's what happens. And I feel like I'm aligning a dial, looking for ideas, and they just like hit you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I felt like going back to what Bashar said, following your high excitement during those moments leads you through those. It guides you.
Yeah. The Law of One is an interesting book to pick up. There's The Children of the Law of One, which is not the book I'm talking about. I've read that one as well, but I haven't read the full Law of One. That's all the channelings I have read a lot of it, but I like to follow the pages on Instagram because they make posts that are particularly associated with like Father's Day or Christmas or love, and I'll read through the whole passage that they are talking about. But it's really interesting. It's really interesting stuff to me because I kind of like the woo-woo shit, but I also never try to decide, is this real or is it not, unless it's blatantly bullshit.
I feel like people that look into those things are looking. They're searching. They're searching for their way. You know what I mean? They're not sure what their soul. It's like a soul search. Yeah.
So for me,
especially like I feel like young people, like teenagers, young 20s, they're really in that phase of their life where they're really searching for this, not religion, but spiritual something to grab onto. Like I can't think of the word. What they side with,
Yeah, it's for me. I look at it as like I'm never looking for a master or looking for a particular religion to guide me, but I'm always looking for ideas that may just brighten my consciousness. So I'm always open to any of that shit. When I listen to it, if it pulls me into it, I'll be like, okay, let me listen to this for a while. Like with Krishnamurti talking about, no such thing as free will. I'm like, why? What is that? Tell me a little bit. I want to hear why what you're saying is the way that you're saying, and how choice itself is like, what you think is a choice is actually only degrading your experience. By trying to choose causes its own violence by you trying to choose it, when really natural seeing and living your life perceptively doesn't have a choice in it. If you're doing it, you're doing it. If you're not, you're making choices, and the choices are taken away from it. So things that kind of annoy me will make me think about it for a while, and then I'll go back and listen to it again and see, can I understand what they're saying? And maybe I would put it in different words. And so maybe it's something we're sharing to friends and family, and maybe it's not, but I love exploring the ideas in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I like to be the person that's like, just feels like, oh yeah, I can see the validity in this.
That type of liberal openness in life with the balance, I feel like is very healthy.
Yeah.
Because you're letting new experiences in. I think I like to direct that towards health and food.
Right.
Like going back to the mushroom shit. Like I've never tried these tinctures. I like mushrooms because I know they're healthy for you, but I'm excited to try that tincture company just because I've heard mixed reviews, mostly good reviews, but I did see one negative one, so it made me halt on buying it prior. But I'm going to try it out and see what it makes me feel like for the energy and the sleep and the whole 9 yards for it.
That's why I like Paul's products.
But even like that guy that actually went to the Iboga retreat that we're going to go to, what's it called? Beyond Us.
Beyond Us.
Yeah, Beyond Us.
Look him up on Instagram.
This guy went to the same retreat, but he drinks his own pee.
Oh yeah.
Remember watching that? That's a little too far for me. But things like that, like I like health things like that and being open to them, like natural eating, healthier eating, and also, supplements.
Yeah.
Pee in your check in the piss.
I got buckets
check
if
in
you're
the
looking.
water.
I got buckets if you want.
I'll fill you one up every morning. You check it for me. How about that? Like changing the oil.
Yeah. I'm excited for that whole trip, but I don't know. I definitely think, like, especially mushrooms have a shitload of benefits that have been not even hidden. Just people didn't really know about them.
Isn't it pretty amazing that they can put I think it was psilocybin. It might have just been a mushroom. No, I can't remember all the details. There's probably a lot of people out there watching the podcast that have seen this story, but they put like psilocybin or like mycelium in a fucking network, and it was actually a train network, I want to say, for New York City, somewhere.
I felt like it was Japan.
It was like a huge train network, and this thing ended up constructing a better route to get to where it needed to go.
It designed a train system for the entire town.
Better than what was already laid out.
Yep, just by letting it have
that is amazing. Do you know if it was mycelium?
It was mycelium. So the mycelium is like the network that grows underneath mushrooms.
Yes.
It's like all of,
how it connects them.
How like willows do the same thing? Like if you see
trees do it.
That's what I'm saying. Willow trees. If you see
trees.
If you see a willow tree out in the woods, underneath all the willow trees are connecting.
All trees, I'm pretty sure, like if you go to forest, they're all connected underneath.
I don't know about that, but
they're
that's
all connected.
Species.
And I've heard stories. I know. I'm sorry to digress and change your story, but I've heard stories of like if you go into the woods, chop a tree, it sends a message to every tree through that network.
Not only does it send a message, like even if certain bugs start eating its leaves, it sends out a message to all the trees around it to secrete a certain type of substance from its leaves that makes it so they don't taste good. Same thing with elephants. If they start eating from one tree, it will send it out to the rest of it, so the trees taste bad.
I just saw a video a post about how they got a photo of a plant breathing. It's like a photo of like inside the plant, like inside the leaf.
Yeah.
It looks like it's probably a deep photo, like microscopic photo, but it looks like the thing just opens up, like a mouth opens up, breathes and closes.
You know what starts
slow.
the cue of the...
I was like, whoa, that was
Do you know
cool.
what starts the cue of the...
It was like something out of Alice in Wonderland. Go ahead.
The cue of the plant to wake up in the morning and start its breathing.
The sun?
It's starting its breathing process.
Sunshine hitting
the
it?
birds chirping.
Really?
You can play birds chirping to your plants, and it will affect
Open them up.
the way. Yeah, exactly. And they've also found that it works exactly the same. Whether they wanted to test these two things, they'd play the birds chirping, and that worked. But another thing they found that worked just as well was just playing orchestra music, symphonies.
It's like giving your girl chocolate.
Why? You're gonna open her up? Is it an aphrodisiac?
I mean, it might be.
Chocolate
It might be
an
Valentine's Day. You know.
I'm not sure I got the connection there. But
Shut the front door. Come on.
Mother Nature.
Mother Nature is a beautiful thing.
It really is. That's one of the reasons. Like when I look at most religions, I don't find good.
No, go on.
I don't find that much like validity. When I was 18, I started doing a deep search into like Hinduism, Taoism. I read a little bit of the Quran. I tried the Bible, but that shit just bored the pants off me. None of that stuff really ever resonated with me in like a deep way, other than a little bit of the Tao. But just looking at nature and the way how everything works so well together is like there's just something undeniable about like the immense intelligence, not even personified. I think that's a massive mistake humans make, to like personify and project God to be a human, but the hyper intelligence that is literally functioning behind every space in the entire universe. That shit right there makes it hard for me. The way it works perfectly together, it doesn't take more than it needs. It gives exactly what it needs to the whole world, and it's always available. It's like, it's that shit right there to me is like, that's wonderful.
As above, so below.
Yeah.
I think it's cool that the universe is like a brain.
Yeah.
When they look at a brain and all of it, the functions of it's like a universe.
I read in.
It's like, dude, holy shit, we're like universes inside ourselves when we fucking go within, meditate. You know, it's like
I was reading about.
It's pretty amazing.
I was reading about the way that they have started to think that not even think that the people have described the way that Atlantis was, and they had like separated parts of the place that they lived, and had set up this network with even their houses to be set up as a left brain and a right brain. And they would so the male side and the feminine side, and it would enhance their culture. There is like what they're talking about. But even like what you said, like it is like a giant brain in the same way, like setting up their civilization to mimic the pattern and the way the brain sends neurons to itself, or you know what I'm saying? Like electrical impulses to itself.
I wonder how they used that and implemented it to enhance their lifestyle.
Yeah, I'm not
what
sure.
they did
to
implement it.
Yeah,
and what it did for them.
Yeah,
if it get brought balance. I just saw a post from a 2,000-year-old boot. And I'm into grounding. People that don't know, grounding and earthing is just basically connecting your body with the earth, and I think it discharges your negative ions. It basically energizes your body, heals it from disease. It's pretty amazing shit. If you don't know about it, you should look into it. But I saw this video, so I'm really into grounding. I sleep on a grounding mat every night, and this video or this post was a 2,000-year-old shoe that had magnets or like plates, like magnet plates on the bottom of it to allow grounding to come through, and it was mentioning grounding.
I just saw a whole post.
I was like, and it looked like a boot from Power Rangers. It was cool as fuck.
I just saw a whole post that was talking about. God, I wish I could remember the actual scientific breakdown, but how the best place they found for grounding to work has two elements to it. One is apparently sand is the most like conductive.
Yeah, like
so
a beach.
Walking in on a beach, and then the ocean has extra oxygen in the air, so you're getting some from the ocean.
So literally the beach.
Yeah, literally,
or the lake.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Anywhere there's sand and water, right? But like, I'm sure the ocean has
fine sand.
I'm sure the ocean has a little bit.
I would
more.
imagine fine sand.
I'm sure. I don't know who
granule fucking,
Yeah, I wish I could get in. God, dude, I watched it literally yesterday. I just can't remember the breakdown. I'd love to give the scientific breakdown of it, but it was apparently sand is even better for you.
I think the idea of earthing is pretty amazing, that you can just make contact with the earth and it heals your body. It reduces inflammation immediately. It changes your cells. Like it does enormous things for your health immediately upon contact with the earth.
Yeah.
Just touching it. And I also think it's even more amazing that the way they ground electricity can be used the same way to ground you in your bed.
Yeah.
All I have to do with my grounding mat is plug it in.
Yeah.
And it grounds me.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's anybody that's ever walked around in the woods barefoot, it just feels good, dude. Even if you're not sensitive.
Personally, I am not sensitive. I never noticed it.
Yeah, I mean,
but I know it.
It's fun to play. I love going out camping and just taking my shoes off and just playing in the sand. I'm just like this. I'll do this the whole time. Like, rub my feet in it. It's fun. It's just like wonderful, dude.
It makes
Carly
me glad
says
that
she
I was
can actually feel it.
Really?
Yeah.
It makes me glad to be a kid that grew up playing in the dirt, becoming accustomed with nature. You know what I mean? Feeling what it's like to be stuffed up from kosher weeds, pulling them, being outside and rolling in the grass and fucking feeling my skin get almost rashed up from rubbing on weeds and,
how many
corn and fucking whatever lives like produce.
There's a large percent of humans, like 40-50% of humans that are allergic to grass, lightly or strongly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like playing football, if I got tackled and ran through the grass, it wasn't because if I got like bubbled up skin.
I'll get itchy,
it was itchy, because
itchy.
you're slightly allergic.
Yeah, it's weird that our lawns. It's weird that our lawns have been.
But it's really good for you. It has to be really good for you, especially a child.
But it's interesting that like we've designed an entire culture around putting grass in our front lawns instead of awesome shit like a garden in your front lawn, a garden in your backyard. It's actually legal in a lot of places to grow illegal to grow a garden.
So over a certain amount of
your front, in a lot of places you can't even have a garden in your front yard. They want you to have whatever, grass and rocks, I don't even know. But it's, that's wild that they don't.
Isn't it such a giant waste of
water
money and water?
Yeah.
To water your front lawn for grass.
It's beautiful.
Just for a little.
It's honestly, when I go to a golf course, I just look at the golf course.
But you're right. You're right, though. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying when you're on a golf course and you just all the grass and all the trees, it's like being in an oasis, bro. I love it. Walking barefoot in the grass, playing golf. Oh my god, it's amazing.
Yeah, but golf courses waste the most water.
Yeah, of course, but it's gorgeous.
Insane amounts.
And it's gorgeous.
And you're right with your point. Like, why not be able to grow that garden in the front yard?
Yeah.
And other places, I think it's a percentage of the lawn. If you're over like 80% of your square footage or whatever, the city's gonna come in and fucking pull it out.
Yeah.
Whatever. We know somebody that about over a little over a decade. His backyard was that way, and he was talking about having that happen.
Yeah,
it was insane. His backyard was like a fucking jungle.
Imagine if
it's actually exciting to me. Like growing a garden is great, dude. A garden in prison, woo, that was crazy cool.
Imagine a world where everybody in their front yard is growing a garden and people can freely walk by and just pick the food as they want. Like even bystanders, everyone's growing it, so there's a little extra food.
It's crazy
everywhere.
It's crazy that not everyone grows a garden. That there's anybody out there that doesn't. This is my first year growing one. Yeah. Being incarcerated made me really want to get in touch with things like that, even though I grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
I've never grown a garden of my own. Or, I've kind of assisted Allie in the past, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's very, very, very exciting thing to me. And it's weird too, when I say that, I'm like, why doesn't everyone just do it? Yeah. Anyone who has a capability, if you're not living in an apartment complex in a massive city, or apartment complex where you don't have the ability to. But even at your old apartment complex, you did it.
Yeah, you can do it. You can grow anywhere.
You could touch base with them.
Even indoor, you can grow with lights and grow like nice little fucking. You could grow a bunch of vegetables in your house easily.
You can grow tomatoes.
I love the new like hydroponic growing kits where you can grow all your vegetables in a vertical space. You can literally.
I've seen something
they're
like
beautiful.
that. It's like
they're
amazing.
Tree. Yeah, it's beautiful.
That's fucking dope.
When you get into, as I've watched, like. As I've done gardening through the last like 10 years, I've seen Carly just deep dive into like what it really is to be a gardener. And like she's, a high level gardener, don't get me wrong, but it's crazy to see how little we know about growing our food. And not only that, the ways that like people use permaculture by mixing plants together, or they call it like companion planting, where certain plants give a little nitrogen to the soil, the other ones take a little bit more, and if you plant them together, they help each other grow. Like monocrop agriculture has like ruined the topsoil for the whole world, because it's still planting potatoes. A lot of farmers know this. Planting alfalfa 10 years in a row depletes the soil of all the nutrients, and you don't get it back. It's really hard to get back. And so like if you're planting potatoes year after year, they get worse and worse every year, because you have to rotate vegetables. If you're growing in any sizable garden, you need to be rotating your plants or keeping a companion planting system together to keep the ground actually fertile. And it's crazy to see how little we fucking know about growing the thing we need to survive.
I find it very special and beautiful, in its own way too, because what you mentioned about what your situation with you gardening, and then it got your significant other involved in it too, right?
We did that shit together. We both wanted a garden so bad.
Either way, it's kind of one and the same, but I like hearing stories about that, because sometimes you get in relationships and you got somebody that's an alcoholic, you end up going to the bar every night with your alcoholic spouse, boyfriend or girlfriend. But when you have good things like this that come up in relationships, it's really weaving of the relationship in a very, very harmonious way. Yep. It's beautiful to have that happen, and to create good habits together with your partner.
And you'll be surprised.
Again, it feeds back. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it feeds back into specifically the gardening. You know what I mean? Like you were just saying, balancing the soils and shit. You know what I mean? It balances your relationship too in a harmonious way. I think it's really amazing when things like that take place to help bear fruit to a relationship.
Mm-hmm. You'd be surprised how much gardening will bring you closer together as partners. Like as you go out there and work together, and it brings you closer together. Like cooking and gardening will bring a relationship into, like, cooking together, growing a garden together will bring your relationship into a place that you're not even aware of. Just working together on something, working out together, all those things, they make a relationship way more healthy. Just like you said, rather than going getting drunk at the bar, which we can do that too. But I like that too.
Hey!
I have fun doing everything, like all that stuff. But those kind of things really do enhance the quality of your relationship.
Yeah, cooking is a great point. Exercise is a good one too.
It's the same as gardening too.
Cooking is very exciting to me, to cook with my significant other.
Yeah,
when I'm like, come home, I'm like, oh, we're gonna make some fucking French fries and some soups or whatever. I'm like, I like that shit.
Yeah, finding a new recipe and cooking it together,
watching some show together.
Yeah,
I like that shit.
And it's just healthy.
It's like such a home feeling in your heart. Like family.
There's nothing like the fresh taste of vegetables right out of your garden, dude.
And there's nothing
when you buy
like
them
a
from the
fresh
store and you
meal
eat
that
them,
you make with love together to eat also.
True.
When you pop that shit out of the garden, cook it together, sit down and have it, like it's heavenly, dude.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. And really, the quality of the food is so much better too, because you can do it all organic. When you pull it right out, it's fresh. It's not sitting on a truck for 5 days to get here.
I saw Edgar Casey say once that gardening is good, but eating local produce is the best route.
Honey's exactly the same way. And right out of the
garden is the suggestion.
Mm-hmm. Honey's the same way. Of like, if you have allergies, they say if you're eating the honey that's around your area, the pollen will help you be immune to the allergens in the air.
Yeah,
so
I've heard that.
What's in the honey, if you're eating it locally, it's better to eat local honey because it's the area you're around with the allergies.
I've heard that.
Yeah. Is there anything on your mind?
No, man, I don't really have much on my mind. What we were talking about earlier was captivating to me.
I'll tell you what's been on my mind lately is I've been getting sucked down a rabbit hole of skimmers. You know what the fuck those are?
Scammers?
Skim. S-K-I-M. Skimmers.
Is it a type of scammer?
It is a terrible scammer. These little shitheads. They go to gas stations and they go like to the gas pumps and they go to pumps in the store. A lot of times it's like a manager or an employee. They put a little thing that looks exactly like the checkout where you put your PIN code in. It's identical. They get this thing fucking glued on top of it, and when you put your debit card in there, it reads it. You put your PIN in, it saves it, and you don't know. It looks exactly like it. But I've been following a channel that goes around and finds them and rips them off in the store and tells them they're gonna call the cops and shit. They pull these suckers right off, dude. They're just stealing people's cards, PIN numbers. It's just one more list of scams that are scammers running around stealing people's shit.
Just like that shit you were showing me earlier.
Bro.
I'm curious though. I want to slow down. What does this device look like that they put over the top that's so convincing that regular people don't notice it?
You can't tell. It's this thin. It's a keypad.
It just slides right over the top like a fucking piece of paper.
It looks
like a piece of plastic that's molded to it.
If you saw the checkout, the debit card.
Those debit card machines are different. Each out of be certain debit card machines.
Yeah, but there's like 20 of them in existence. So there's only so many companies. So I got to just find a place. Yeah, you got to just find the right one. You just put it right over the top of it. You can't tell. I can't tell.
So you said they go to the managers. So you're saying they approach management and say, "Hey, I'm going to pay you to let me put this on here," or they just sneak it on there?
I think a lot of times the people that own the store or the employees do it themselves. I don't think, and then they can either sell that information to somebody or they can use it themselves.
Or they can hack you.
Most likely they're selling it so that they're not associated with it.
It's pretty fucked up.
It's just one more thing. I know that there's people that walk around with magnet strips in their pocket that can read your debit card by walking through.
I looked at one the other day and was like, and thought about that. I was like, is this one of those things that Nate talks about?
Yeah, they're skimmers, dude. Like the world of hacking is so in depth, and for somebody that's like just average at technology, when I listen to people on podcasts that used to be scammers talk about it, the amount of shit that someone can get in 15 seconds just by sitting in your parking lot and hacking your router is insane.
Talk about the guy, the shit you were telling me about with the hackers, other hackers.
Which particular one?
The online guys and the guy you were showing me.
I'm not sure which exact story you're talking about, but that was one of them that they could. That one dude was just saying like just by using your email address, he can bring up anytime that people have like broken into it, any type of anything that you've ever clicked on that basically got you hacked. They can not only detect it, but they're selling that information on the dark web. So all of most people's shit's out there. I mean, even right now, my email that's associated with our TikTok, I am trying to be about every 30 seconds someone's trying to get into that email. I can look and see. It'll shut my email down sometimes because so many people are trying to get into it at once, because if they can get into this, then they can get into all sorts of shit.
You'll try to log in and it just won't let you.
It'll say too many login attempts the first time, so I'll look into my log.
So that means that people have been trying to log in.
I can look into my log history of how many times people have tried to log in, and in like a 2-hour window there'll be like 95 people that have tried.
Shut the fuck up.
Every day. It doesn't go away because people on TikTok can see that the way to book us is through this email, and they're trying to get into the email every day. I switch the emails, and they're trying to get into the new email every day.
That is crazy, dude.
Yeah, they're like, scammers are a prevalent fucking plague.
You need a separate device that's only like you just log into it and like check one thing. Yeah. Like one email, dude.
Yeah, and an email that you don't use ever. You don't want an email that has anything valuable. The problem is too to them.
Who wakes up and is like I'm gonna be as scared like these guys, man. These lifestyles.
The problem is they don't feel any remorse for it.
Yeah, and that's fucking part of it too. But the infinity we live in is beyond amazing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's wild. And the more that we get into technology, we're dealing with really old people that know nothing about it. I told you about the guy I used to take care of when I worked for Assisting Hands Home Care. It took him, I probably showed him like at least 15 times how to run his microwave, and he couldn't figure it out. So take that into something like cryptocurrency. You'd never get these people into something like that. Take that into like even just getting on your computer, the amount of scams that people click on. I mean, even if you don't click on a scam, how many old men are getting fucking sucked in to sending crypto or money to a princess that needs help so she can get to the United States and come see you, this infinite money trail. This shit's ugly, dude. and it's always preying on desperate, lonely people.
Yeah, that's some cold-hearted shit.
Yeah, I love the channels on YouTube though of watching scammers scam the scammers and delete all their files. And
what did the guy say earlier? He's like, fuck, he's all. Do you have anything else for me? He's like, yeah,
my dick. Do you want to suck it?
Yeah. What did he say though before that to premise it? Like he's like,
he's like, you got anything else you want, or anything you want to say to me? And he's like, yeah, my dick. You want to suck it? It's fucking hilarious, but I love watching scammers
get scammed.
Yeah, they put their picture up on the internet, share it all over on a giant network, and they fucking make sure that it's known these people are scammers, so that they not only they can't do it, a lot of times they actually get arrests and stuff from this. But in India, it's a lot harder because they care a lot less. No matter what they give to the authorities, they seem to not care as much. But man, there's some good channels out there of people scamming scammers, and it's a good feeling when you watch that shit, dude.
Dude, right?
Yeah.
Fuck that. Scam an old lady for their money. They always scam Americans too, because Americans have like the most, so they aim at Americans. It makes sense. Like if you're gonna fucking go for if you're going hunting, you're not gonna try to kill a little Bambi. You're gonna try to kill a fucking buck, dude.
Yeah. I love watching one where this guy always has like $5 million of Bitcoin he's going to send to you. And then while the people are telling him the address, he purposely reads it wrong and sends it to the wrong place, and they lose their fucking mind. You fucking idiot! You fucking idiot! Fuck your mother! Just losing their mind, like, you're a fucking idiot! Just losing it because this guy that thought he was going to give $5 million and he sent it to the wrong address. It's fucking hilarious, dude. I love watching them lose their shit.
But he never sends anything anywhere, obviously.
I was curious how what they do.
He might send it to a friend or something.
I'm curious. I'm not sure how
they might wash it like they do on TikTok.
Yeah, I was wondering what they do, but yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask you, how high, with this Bitcoin bull run going on, how high do you think that Bitcoin can run?
I don't know, man. They did the halvening. Did that happen?
I believe that it did.
So yeah, I mean, every time they cut the freaking coins in half for the reward, every single time it's just going to keep going up for a long time until it's out, and everybody knows.
That's
most
like
people,
and that's like in the 40s, right?
Yeah, like 2041 or 2044 or something. But everybody knows, scarcity is what creates value. So if as long as people want it and there's not much around, then you're talking about dealing with fractions of something. So as it gets closer to that date, it's only going up.
Yeah, I do. But I mean,
if I was going to guess, I can easily see $1 million Bitcoin by then.
But I'm talking about on this bull run.
I have no idea. I really don't know. The market is
a figure on it.
No, the market fluctuates so much. It's so unpredictable. Like if you look back at cycles, a lot of people say they can predict it, but no one knows if this one's actually started, where it's going. I listen to a lot of friends that are kind of geniuses in this space, and they make predictions, but they're never right. They're close sometimes, but never right.
So if you were, even if
I could see a $300,000 Bitcoin.
I was going to say, you think it'll break 100?
No, you know what? I'm going to take that back. It could break 100.
I could see it breaking 100.
Yeah,
but
it could go higher.
I'm curious about the altcoins too, because it seemed like in 2017, the altcoins really caught more heat after the money filed into Bitcoin than it files into the other altcoins. It goes so on and so forth. It goes downhill. Money, just like shit, it rolls downhill. Yeah, and this last bull run, I didn't feel like that was so much the case. So I'm curious what's going to happen this time with it, because the market has only increased in size in terms of like how many are on the market, but also the volume of market share is way bigger.
Yeah, and that's
daily.
And that's the reason you're not seeing such a big trickle down.
Of all crypto grows up every day.
That's why you're not seeing such a big trickle, is because in the original one there was only like 300 coins to choose from. Now there's probably 10,000 or more.
Yeah, so I'm curious what happens.
So the trickle goes differently, and also people that have been wrecked are more aware of the mistakes that they made and like the buying and selling, so they're letting them go faster.
They're taking profits quicker.
They're taking profits faster. They also know that there's a lot of shit coins out there that might make you $1 million, but the coin has no value long term. Not only because the company that's running the coin doesn't have the longevity and the amount in their treasury to make it through long periods of no money, so they just die. The companies like Like, I mean, Status is a good one that has like so much Ethereum that they can make it, you know, they got like fucking $50 million in Ethereum that they can make it through the dark periods and keep progressively getting bigger and marketing more and creating more utility. And a lot of people don't know shit about utility. They just think they're buying a cheap ass coin.
What's utility?
Just what it can actually be used for. So like what, you know, with Status, they use it as a back end to technology. So like basically it's just, does it have a use that the world will value? Even if you can't see the value right now, it may be something so ahead of its time, it takes a long time to be implemented. We're looking at the wild west of cryptocurrency in general.
Yeah.
You know, even the people that have a Bitcoin lose them all the time because they, you know, they send it somewhere they shouldn't. They put the wrong address in. They get scammed.
They misplace a flash drive.
I've seen a news scam where I saw a guy lost $56 million or $65 million recently, where scammers found a way to take, usually when people look at addresses in crypto, they look at the last 4 letters and the first 4 letters, the numbers and letters, and that will tell you that you basically got your right address. You don't look at the fucking 15 in between.
Yeah, because
scammers have found a way to make those look exactly the same.
They replicate
it fucking from your computer,
and you don't know how.
I don't know how they do it. And then those middle letters are different. And so somebody just got scammed for $65 million in Bitcoin, which is a giant hurdle in the crypto space, because
it's like
adopting a new technology is hard enough for people, but to be able to hold your coins in a safe way that you can't get it back if you fuck up is a real hurdle to jump over, dude.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, that feeling of losing that kind of money, it's got to leave a bottomless pit in your stomach for fucking years, dude. And the way that it happens too, it's like walking into a safe that just got robbed of all your gold, like the fucking door hanging open, hanging from the hinges, and it's just empty.
Yeah,
you know, blowing fucking receipts and dust out.
I'm sure in the future these things will become safer and safer, and the younger generations are better with technology right from the birth, so it will be implemented. It's just a long time.
But what do you think is a better situation, to be in a bank with your funds, or to be in control of your own funds, like with a cryptocurrency?
Well, what sucks about a bank is, let's say you got $100,000 in the bank and you want to go take out 50,000 of it in cash. They don't most likely they won't give it to you, and because banks only hold a small percentage of the money that they're giving out. So if they have $100,000, they've loaned out like $1 million. So if you come to ask for it and I come to ask for it in the same day, the $100,000 that is saved in the bank, they can't give it to you. So at least with the other stuff, it's in your control.
So what's your preference then?
I'd rather be the person that has it in my safe than somebody else's safe.
So what would your preference be towards the difference between banking and holding cash in the bank, owning crypto, or having metals, a hard metal that's outside of a government's currency?
If I was going to choose, I would choose all three. I have no idea why anybody thinks one is better than the other. I think being diversified is probably a good idea, but I also think, like, even with banks, you know, in Greece, when people went to collect their money, all the money in the bank literally told all of them, "Here, this is ours now." They had lost so much money, they just kept everybody else's, and there's nothing they could do about it. Yeah. So that's a problem.
That is legal in the banking system. When you go and do a transaction, when you deposit your money into the bank, it's no longer your money. People don't know this. It's their money now, and they are going to do what they want with it, and they're not obligated to return it to you.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think that's a rough situation to be in when people are getting their money stolen, and when you're in a volatile economy like we are right now, where it appears that bubbles are starting to burst, the real estate market's flying up. Like, it would be nice to be able to have a hold of your own money.
Yeah, I totally get you.
Yeah.
The market the market of real estate is slowing down, though. I think it's starting to decline. Rent isn't, but the buyer's market is declining from what I've heard.
The problem isn't the market so much; it's the interest rates. It's costing people way too much money. I mean, I just saw, if you buy a $400,000 house, by the time that you have, let's say on a 30-year mortgage, by the time that $400,000 house that you bought, the repairs that you do to the house, like basically just the upkeep, and then the interest, by the time you've paid off a $400,000 house in that 30 years, you actually paid $1.2 million. That's a lot more than you planned on in 30 years. And a lot of people don't tell you that. You think the house you bought is going to cost you $400,000, but when you include the interest rate, most of the first 10 years is spent trying to knock down the interest that you've paid. You haven't even paid for your house yet.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are going to, the whole world is going to go into a big shock right now because of the interest rates going up. We've been stuck at low interest rates for such a long time, pretty much our whole lifetimes. We don't know what it feels like to have higher interest rates, and they're about to get fucking really pressed, I think.
Yeah.
From the stuff that I listen to, it sounds like they're going to go higher.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see as time progresses, but
I'm interested in what's specifically going on in the economy right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Too.
Because of currency. Currencies don't last.
Yeah.
People don't realize that that cash isn't money. Like, they don't know. Our generation, the world today, just isn't interested in metals. Like,
yeah.
I think that all of it is insane, and the amount that fucking the Fed is buying up, like banks in general are buying up gold, is unprecedented. Like,
and
people don't fucking know this. They don't hold it.
Yeah, and the amount of money that they're printed more. And like the last, remember that meme I showed you with the guy talking about an asset that he was in, where he's like, what would you think about investing in this? And like, they can create as much as they want. They've created the most amount that they've ever wanted. They created like 22% of them all within the last like year. And like, they give like this whole breakdown of like, what would you think about this as a cryptocurrency? And then they're like, it's actually cash. It's actually your dollar.
And they're laughing. They're all, oh, actually, that's the USD.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. You know,
it's
just like the cycles of tanking.
It's reality.
It's the cycles of tanking currencies over and over to destroy civilizations, dude.
Yeah,
it's literally just making people have more value and more wealth that are in the middle, that can take that money and invest it in assets and keep the fucking assets and bankrupt an entire nation while they are right next to the printing press stealing the fucking money.
Yeah,
you know, it's
and
crazy.
We all work for it. We all work for it. Fucking. To death.
Yeah.
You know, people work for it to death.
Yeah.
There's ways out, though. You have to find that way out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to find a way to create the life that you want to live and get outside of that rat race.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a frustrating thing to watch. You would hope people had a little bit more fucking benevolence inside of them, but it is what it is.
People feel hopeless.
But thank God we have the information that you can actually get yourself ahead of that. You know, if you can get a hold of some assets and hold them and let all that stuff happen, then you won't be sitting as bad. Hopefully you can let your family know how to do it and not wind up in where the middle class is completely destroyed and there's just poor and rich people.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad the way the world is nowadays, with middle class disintegrated. You know, it's harder and harder just to live, just to fucking make rent anywhere in the U.S. Like, yeah, it's crazy. It's expensive, the world we live in right now is absolutely insane, and it's diminishing to a person's willpower. You know, they'll never fucking get out. You have to have. I believe in today's day and world, you have to have an insanely strong willpower to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You know, and you have to have that with discipline over a consistent period of time. Yeah. You know, for decades potentially. Yeah. You know, it's like, it's crazy, dude. And it doesn't surprise me that most people give up, you know, are stuck in a hopeless state. Yeah. They don't see any way out. They just hope to fucking make it. You know?
And that's what a job's meant to do. Barely
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that's what interests me about what you were talking about with, you know, giving me shit about the fucking economic stuff, because I'm not necessarily interested in economics, but I am interested particularly in what's happening and what's been happening to the dollar since the Fed got put into place in 1913. Yeah. And how the dollar's value has been being diminished since our grandparents were before our grandparents were even born. Yeah. And people don't realize it. You know what I mean? And also can't think of the word. It draws my attention in heavily to know that story, what's happening with the dollar, and then where it's going to go to. Yeah, you know what I mean, and where it's headed from this point, because basically it's at the end of its life cycle. Yeah, and people don't fucking know this, but no currency No currency in all of history has ever lasted. And the average life cycle of a currency, a nation's currency, is 50 years. We're the only one that's ever been a global currency. So we don't have any data on this, but it will end too. And where it goes from here is what I'm curious about.
Yeah,
that's why I like metals. I think cryptos are important. I think that people should educate themselves to protect their assets.
Well, when you see BlackRock buying, billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, initially he was saying he thought, the head of BlackRock was saying to him Bitcoin was complete bullshit, and then now they're buying it up. It's become an asset at this point. Yeah. The same as owning a house at a cheap price as it rises with inflation. The same, don't go buy a bunch of cars and stupid shit that depreciate and cost you money. You want to try to get, I wish I knew more when I was younger so I could have got more assets.
Cash flow producing assets.
Yeah.
It fucking, when it goes back to that BlackRock thing, it takes me back to what you said about them printing all the money they want. Like, if you were standing next to the printing machine, not saying BlackRock is, but if you were the guy by the printing machine, you'd buy it all. You'd print it all and buy it all.
Yeah.
It's such a fucking scam. It's insane.
It is,
It's insanity.
Yeah.
They literally got this thing printing all day, every day. People like BlackRock are buying up everything, and then you got the rest of the nation, 90% of us out here, 95, whatever the percentage is, not starving, but like things are harder than ever.
Yeah.
For people nowadays. It's like, I bet though, if you really look at the charts and the numbers, that today is worse than it was in '08, and it's going to continue to get even worse. And today's comparable to the Depression.
Yeah. That reminded me of something.
And you wouldn't think so off the top of your head, but shit's pretty fucking out of whack, dude.
That reminded me of this freaking guy I was watching online yesterday that was trying to do this live video and he's like, I'll tell you right now, your Google is always listening to you every conversation you're having. So he holds up a sign and he writes down what he's going to start talking about. Then he's like, I don't own one of these. I'm just going to see if ads start popping it up. So he makes the sign, writes it down, shows the camera, and it says dog food.
And what does he show his camera on?
He just shows everybody live. Like, this is right now. I'm going to show you. I'm going to search through a bunch of random sites and see what ads pop up right now. Before I even start searching for this ad, he says dog food. So he holds up the sign. It says dog food. He starts searching around. Nothing pops up at all. Then he says, I don't own a dog. I've never owned a dog, and I'm just going to say it out loud. He's like, okay, I'm really in the market right now. I'd love to get some dog food. I'd really like some healthy stuff for my dogs. I'm kind of looking for it right now. So he does this for about 1 minute, just talking about him looking for this dog food out loud. Then after he'd already searched around and nothing dog food related popped up, within 2 searches, he's got nothing but dog food ads all over Google. And all he did was talk about it out loud.
What live was he on? Was he on like YouTube?
Yeah, it was on a YouTube live stream.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cute. That's cute. And what's cute about that is how that applies to the TikTok situation and how they're spying.
Yeah. Yeah. Literally your phone is literal access to your entire life and whatever you're talking about. This is just talking about ads, that data is all being stored somewhere. And being sold or used, data is the new currency. Having data and analytics on what people, there's Amazon that can predict what you need to buy. There's like software right now that Amazon will predict what you need to buy so that you're ready. Right now they sell it to you as like, oh, you should be ready for all these things about now.
You're probably out by now.
Predictive purchasing. Yeah.
Wow, dude. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's wild. This is a terrible segue, but this thing they've been doing like deep dives into games and why that like the reason why in this particular case, like in Mario, why the guy that created Mario chose this is the reason that he chose to have Mario jumping on turtles, because the guy that created the game used to get bullied all the time because when he was a kid, he would just smash turtles
with hammers.
He'd just smash them and smash them and smash them. He was killing turtles all the time, and so he thought because these bullies were always bullying him and making him feel so bad, they put Mario in the game to be jumping and crushing turtles, which is a really weird thing.
It is when you think about it, isn't it?
Yeah, like why would you? It is a very abstract thing. Like, oh, we're just gonna jump and smash turtles the whole time. It doesn't make any sense. But I've never really even thought about that. Like, why are we jumping on turtles? But it's interesting, right? There's so many like backstories behind.
That's
games.
a fucking dark story, though.
It's
like
a dark story.
You're crushing turtles with the hammer, dude.
Yeah.
That's some malicious, dude. That's some vicious shit.
Yeah, real malicious.
Like that's some serial killer shit, dude.
It's pretty dark. That's what the video I was watching when they were talking about it. They're like, "What would if he didn't create Mario? What would this dude have been doing?
Seriously,
serial
dude?
killing?
That's literally serial killer shit. And that's like usually people are like, oh, he killed a dog or a cat.
Yeah.
This dude's crushing turtles,
dude. Not just like a turtle. He's crushing lots of them. Like, dude, what the fuck? If you were gonna pick out of all like the NBA, soccer, NFL, if you're gonna pick out of all the big sports organizations, which group of people do you think would be the best fighters in the UFC?
Football players, or wrestlers.
Well, wrestling is part of a martial art. We can't use that one.
Football players.
That's already kind of been proven.
Pro football players.
Pro football
They're
players.
the most explosive athletes. They're the biggest and the strongest. The biggest, strongest, fastest. Even without technique, they could muscle. They can muscle you probably.
Yeah, I always thought it would be really cool.
Like we default. They are insanely strong at that level.
Yeah, I'd always thought it would be interesting to be able to run like a UFC type event where the linemen choose the toughest 5 linemen or like the top 10 linemen that they think are the toughest, and then run them through a tournament to see who actually would be the toughest per position: wide receivers, quarterbacks, linemen. What else would there be? Like running backs. Yeah, and the same in basketball.
Linebackers.
The same in basketball per position, like the centers, the point guards, the wings, and then like your small forwards, and just see like the Ron Artests and like the Shaqs, and it'd be wild to watch.
They would change the fucking game for light heavyweight and heavyweight.
Yeah.
It would be, and that's where they'd be fighting. There wouldn't be a lot of people fighting below 185.
Yeah, you're right.
If you were getting the pro football players in there, they're all fucking huge, dude.
A lot like Brendan Schaub.
Fucking stacked.
Brendan Schaub
beyond measure.
Was talking about like the people that he thought were the most athletic that he'd played with, because he played professional football. He also played a lot of sports, but he said he thought basketball players would do the best because he thought they're the most athletic. And I was like, your athleticism translates well to like fighting, but I don't know if the mentality that comes along. I don't know if the mentality that comes along with basketball could actually compete with the simulated war that you're literally in football.
Yeah.
Fighting's a little closer to like the simulated war of football than it is to like basketball.
I believe that they would be fucking completely outmatched.
Yeah.
No doubt about it, dude. Like they may be athletic, but football players are athletic too.
And they've had some,
and they fucking are very, very explosive athletes, especially at that high level.
They've had some NFL players come over and actually fight, and a few of them did okay. Like Greg Hardy was okay. He gassed.
Who's that one fucking guy?
That's him, Greg Hardy. Yeah, he's it's hard to watch.
He
that
is
guy.
a fucking.
He's not in the UFC anymore.
So why?
But I don't know. He just wasn't that liked. He
did okay.
He wasn't winning.
He did okay.
He was on the lower tier of heavyweights. He did okay, but like you could put Brock Lesnar in there.
Wasn't he ranked for
Brock
a minute?
Lesnar was a professional football player, and he
didn't play pro football.
He did. He played for Atlanta. He was a linebacker.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he played pro.
I thought he
was on the lower end of the linebackers, but he played pro.
Okay,
but he was a NCAA wrestling champion. And he was also a UFC champion.
I was watching The Rock do some sparring the other day.
He's going to play not Coleman.
Playing a role.
He's playing an MMA fighter, one of the biggest ones from back in the day. I can't think of him off the top of my head, but
Ronnie Coleman.
It wasn't Ronnie Coleman. I wanted to say that.
I heard you going out with
it. It was going to be Ronnie. I thought it was, but It's a guy like that, man. I wish I could think of his name.
Does he have like a crash and burn fucking?
I don't know his story particularly,
career?
but he was a really good fighter for a long time. I'm not sure his story.
Okay,
But
The
yeah,
Rock
so
looked
that's why he was training
The Rock
for
looked
that.
like shit. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that.
Fighting's a whole different thing, dude.
He looked like uncoordinated, maybe.
Yeah, Rock talked about he was gonna try it, but after WWE,
He looked stiff.
Yeah,
He was gonna try.
yeah. Rock was gonna go after WWE. He didn't have much of a career in the beginning and wasn't doing that well, so he was actually gonna go fight for like Pride or Strike Force or one of the early fighting leagues, and then ended up getting a kind of a bigger call in
Isn't
WWE.
it weird how his fucking career just from 2008 just went?
Yeah,
He's like in everything now, dude.
Yeah.
But you were telling me he's late to everything.
I was.
Yeah, weren't you telling me The Rock's late to everything?
I don't think so.
I heard that. Maybe it was. I know you were telling me that Lauryn Hill was late to everything, but I saw something, or I thought it was you that was telling me. But apparently, The Rock is just late to everything. He doesn't. It must have been a fucking video.
Really?
a clip.
Because he's up early as shit all the
I
time.
know,
see
but I
that.
guess he's just a fucking prick when it comes to consideration of time, dude.
Damn. Yeah,
Like
no, I know that was-
hours and hours late to set, making other fucking big stars wait.
Really?
Yeah,
That sucks.
I don't know how true it is.
I've heard that with Lauryn Hill. She misses like every concert by like 2
I don't even
hours.
consider it, dude.
I'm one. You got to fall out of love with it.
I mean, I'm
at
fucking.
That point.
I know, like with Lauryn Hill, why are you waiting so long to go on stage? You must be having nervous breakdowns and shit.
Oh yeah, or you're just
You
like,
either hate it, just like you said, you fell out of love with it. In my opinion, it's one of three things: you hate it and fell out of love with it. You're very inconsiderate of other people, especially specifically your fans, or you're fucking like freaking out. You're having breakdowns and shit. Like you're not managing your life well, so you're fucking tripping backstage. You know, I don't know. I don't know. What else could you think it would be?
No, those are good guesses, dude. I don't know. Or you really could just think I'm a star and it builds more.
That's that inconsideration pocket, though.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say.
That's fucked up, though, dude.
I can't imagine wasting 2 hours over. Like one lady I just saw recently was saying she booked. She drove 12 hours, got babysitters for 2 days, and she drove all the way to see a Lauryn Hill show. And then after about 2 hours, they just announced she's not even coming. There was no reason. She just didn't want to come.
Man, I would fucking forever love the fans. The people that give us love, I forever love them.
Yeah.
You know, like
I don't show up late
I
to
would
shit.
say once we keep getting bigger, we could fucking pack some stadiums and shit, or like some clubs and like not arenas, but what would be smaller than that? Like
theaters?
Some theaters, yes. Get some theaters, dude. I'll stand in line and sign autographs and talk to people and hug them all night.
That's what you're there for, dude.
Yeah, dude. That's what
you're
I'm
there
saying.
for.
Like, and I'm sure it would get after a while from this position. You're like, yeah, I'll do it forever.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I appreciate
I have
it.
too much love for the time and effort that goes into get it. Do you know what it takes to get somebody to get out of their fucking house and come down and see
The fact
you?
that they would care for you like that, you should care just as much.
Exactly. It takes a lot to get somebody the fuck out of their house, dude. Seinfeld has a bit where he's like talking about, he's like, so this is what it means to be out? You know, you look at him like, I liked being home. You know?
I've heard the bit.
Yeah. It's
This
like,
is out?
And I get it. Like, sometimes I feel that way. Like, it's hard to get me to a concert. Like, I got to really want to see you, you know? It's really hard for me to want to go.
I saw a joke online that the guy was talking about being in your 20s and someone hits you up and you're like, let's go. I don't even have to know. And then in your 30s, he's like, well, where are we going? You know, what's going on? And they'll tell him, and he's like, okay, I'll drive. And he gets a laugh, and then he's like, in your 40s, they ask you, and he's like, don't fucking ask me that.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I've seen that guy. Now that you say that, I've seen that shit, dude.
Don't fucking ask me about that.
I bet we've put together, it looks like about an hour and 25 minutes.
That's great. Let's keep going.
You want to?
You don't?
No, that's what I was saying
I'm
that
just
for.
playing with you, dude.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I think I missed the joke. Tell it again. I want to hear the
Go
funny.
ahead. Say what you said.
I want to hear the funny part.
Say what you said again.
It's about an hour 25. That's probably good, huh?
Let's keep going.
Okay. Point me to the joke.
Let's do it again. No, let's do it again. That wasn't the joke.
All right, guys. Freedom Renegade Radio Podcast, Episode 4. We love you guys. Thank you so much for being here.
We are sponsored by Downpour Digs, located at
634 South Lincoln in Jerome, Idaho.
And you
with
can-
all your anything that you need to be out in the wet, whether you're working in the dairies, whether you're working in the field, no matter what you need, if you need waterproof apparel, you need to go to Downpour Digs in Jerome, Idaho. Get yourself some boots. Tell the lady you saw the Freedom Renegade podcast and she'll give you 10% off.
Have a good day, everybody. Don't forget, it's peace, love, unity, and
safely having scotch.
Bam.
Love you guys.